The KTR1 is a very interesting retro gaming handheld, and I'm going to discuss exactly why that is. We're very fortunate to live in a golden era of handheld gaming with the likes of the Steam Deck, the Nintendo Switch, and all the amazing retro gaming handhelds that are coming out of China. As a matter of fact, there are so many options available now, it's almost too difficult to choose, where it becomes an overwhelming choice and almost every device seems to have its issues. But the KTR1 is coming along with a very interesting prospect. The KTR1 is being designed and conceived by one individual, and the story behind that is incredibly relatable as a consumer. The designer of the KTR1 describes his choice as such. Once I was looking for a handheld that I wanted, but unfortunately the machines on the market either had bad performance or the screen was too small, or the machine was too big and not portable. Also, no system was specially designed for handhelds with no online play and no social, with a need for complicated settings before you could play. So I decided to make one that I wanted, a perfect handheld to me and other people that love to play games. Now, how much does that resonate with you? I know I, as a consumer, find it incredibly frustrating that with all these retro gaming handhelds that we get, there's always some issue with one of them. They never seem to be perfect. And so the designer of the KTR1 has seen these issues and wants to create the console that he feels is perfect, that he hopes we will feel is perfect as well. Now, this project is interesting on many levels. First of all, it's one person doing it all. We've seen with companies like Aya and with companies like Retroid and even Anbernic, they have massive teams behind the development of their consoles, and even then they struggle to get these things out on time and to be able to produce a system that meets all the expectations of the user. So for one person to take this on is a huge undertaking and potentially not even possible, which makes this such an exciting project to try and watch and follow. Now, the KTR1 has been in development for some time and it has seen some setbacks, as we would expect, but we are getting ever closer to a final released product, with even a website available now which gives us more information and the potential for pre-orders when they go live. The other thing that makes the KTR1 so interesting is the fact that it's trying to do everything right. It's trying to tick all the boxes and become the perfect retro gaming handheld. And already we have a lot of information about the KTR1, which will help us decide if that is going to be the handheld that we want it to be. First off, we've seen a lot of renders of what the KTR1 is going to look like and the design aspects that it's going to go for. And instantly I can see that it's going along the lines of the Retroid Pocket 3. The Retroid Pocket 3 is my favorite retro gaming handheld under $200. So instantly this is a really good design, and it shows that the developer is trying to take from the best that's around. Now, the Retroid Pocket 3 design is not going to be for everybody because there are people that prefer the aspect ratio of the screen of the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. So we're never going to have a perfect handheld. We're never going to have the handheld that satisfies everybody. One thing that I have noticed in the designs that I'm not too keen on is that the shoulder buttons seem to follow the designs of the Anbernics. Considering the KTR1 looks very similar to the Retroid Pocket 3, I feel like it could easily go for those shoulder buttons as well. Shoulder buttons which I feel are just better in all scenarios of gaming, whether you're playing retro games or whether you're game streaming as well. Moving on to the specifications of the KTR1, these are not official, but these are what we believe they will be. Taking on a hexa-core AM Logic 1.8 GHz processor, a Male G52 GPU with between 2 to 4 GB of RAM, as well as a touchscreen that could be up to 4.3 inches with a resolution of 1620 by 1080, as well as a 5000 mAh battery and Wi-Fi Bluetooth. And the interesting thing is that the processor is not one we've seen used in a retro gaming handheld yet, so it'll be really interesting to see how that deals with the retro gaming side and emulation. The range of RAM from 2 GB to 4 GB, hopefully we might get some variants that we could choose from. And along with the variants, we could expect to see plastic consoles as well as metal ones, as we've seen with the RG351 consoles from Anbernic. The fact that the KTR1 has a touchscreen also indicates that it will be using Android, and whereas originally we thought it would use Android 9, I do suspect it will go down the route of the Retroid Pocket 3 and go for Android 11. However, personally I would like to see it as a dual boot system and give us the option of an operating system that has been specifically designed for a retro gaming handheld experience. Now, like me, you're probably thinking this doesn't sound that different to any of the retro gaming handhelds we've got currently, especially when you compare it to the likes of the Retroid Pocket 3. And in all honesty, it's not massively different. We have to realise that the concept for this console came out about 2 years ago, when the retro gaming handheld scene was completely different. Considering the Retroid Pocket 3 only came out a few months ago, if the KTR1 had come out closer to its initial conception, we would have been blown away with how amazing this device was. But the market has evolved as time has gone on, and we have got ever closer to that perfect retro gaming handheld, which means that a lot of the ideas and concepts that the designer wanted to put into the KTR1 might have already been done now. But that doesn't mean that it's still not a very interesting device to keep our eyes on. I personally, as a solo indie developer, really love the idea that one individual is getting behind this, and that alone is enough for me to be invested in it and interested in it. If I could choose between two equally great consoles, one created by a team of individuals and one created by a solo developer, I would be much more likely to support the solo developer. As well as that, the developer sounds like somebody who's very interested and invested in the world of retro gaming handhelds, so it's quite likely that they're still going to try and put the best into their console to put the improvements in there that we're still waiting to see. Now, the other areas that the developer mentioned, like the online play and the social aspects, we're yet to see how they will evolve, and that'll be an interesting area to keep our eyes on as the console gets closer to production. One really interesting thing about the console is just how many variations there are and options for you to choose from, even down to the fact that you can choose where you want your left analog stick to be, whether you want it to be above or below the D-pad. Now, the device cost is probably going to be in the range of $199 to $279, which is a little bit expensive when we consider this compared to the Retroid Pocket 3. However, where the Retroid Pocket 3 could just about touch emulation for PlayStation 2 and GameCube, it'd be really nice to see if the KTR1 could flex some power and give us a bit more PlayStation 2 and GameCube emulation. That for me is the one big area that is currently missing from affordable retro gaming handhelds. Now, if you want to find out more about the Retroid Pocket 3, which is the device I do think the KTR1 is most closely going to resemble, then you can check out this review right here.